I'm Raul Caballero, as many of you already know me, and with my partner Violeta Picasso, we will be presenting this quick sneak peek. Viola, you want to add something?
No, hello everyone. I hope that this presentation is useful for you to understand this mission, which is a new activity that we have, and we are very, very excited on doing this.
Great. Well, so please, the next slide. All right. Well, as I mentioned before, we're going to be doing two cities in a hybrid mode. We're going to do Mexico City because, as you know, it's our largest city, which holds the largest number of population, as well as many of the importers, distributors, retailers, and somehow this is a way that we are going to guarantee our participants that they're going to have good meetings with good prospects and potentially, the opportunity for them to do business. So Mexico City, as many of you know, it's a cosmopolitan city that today is trending in the tourism sector. It is a safe city. It is just like, other cities around the world. Of course, we do have the city crime that any other city has. But, we've never had any problems. Everything is driven under common sense. And all the time, we advise and drive all of our missions in a very careful manner. So in the Mexico City portion, you're going to be able to have your one-on-one meetings, or the participants will. We're going to have a tour for the retail sector to see, some of the specialty stores that offer this category and that can show, what products would be in competition with the participants that are visiting. We're going to have a USDA country briefing. I think, we're going to be talking about the labeling as well, which I think it is important to touch, even though, this event or activity will go for the possibility of both retail and food service. We will have a tabletop reception with a pairing event, where we are going to have the participation of the Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin chef who's going to do the presentation. And we might also have another Mexican chef that, it's a influencer that can help us also drive attention to the activity. We're going to conduct this in the Intercontinental Hotel in Mexico City, as many of the other missions. And this would pretty much cover the part of Mexico. Vivian, please, next slide. And then, we thought that as we were planning this a couple of years before or ago, we thought that it would be good to do a two-city visit and combine it, with our metropolitan cities, which, include Mexico City, Monterrey, Guadalajara, but also visit a tourist area. So just to give you a little bit of a sneak peek for maybe 2027, we might have Monterrey and Cancun. However, in 2026, we're going to be doing, Mexico City and Puerto Vallarta. So Puerto Vallarta, it's an old bay of banderas, or it doesn't sound nice, the flags bay. I prefer to say the Bay of Banderas. And basically, it's also a very trending tourist destination for Mexico. It's in the rise. It's growing a lot. Going from the traditional Puerto Vallarta small town to today's Punta Mitas, very high-end golf course and resort. And along the bay, there's a lot of growth. Of course, it is not the same size as Cancun. However, it is the second destination in Mexico and with a lot of growth potential. In the first 6 months of 2025, there were 5 million visitors, most of them coming from the United States and Canada. That's the main clientele that visits this area, which likes it a lot. And it also gives a very nice flavor of Mexico because, as you know, Puerto Vallarta is in the city of Jalisco, and Jalisco is probably one of the most traditional states of Mexico, which represents very well our country with tequilas and mariachis and a lot of fun. So as the slide says, you know, we have chains in the region like the Hilton, Sheraton, Westin, Marriott's, and all of the high-end hotels that are available worldwide. It's also a gourmet destination. You know, Puerto Vallarta features a lot of good restaurants, so there is a good opportunity, you know, for high-end products. And I think this charcuterie cheese beverage mission could be really good. So in this case, you know, we will be flying to Puerto Vallarta to the first day of the show. So our team is going to start that show. And I think by the number of participants that we're planning, we're going to exhibit in a showcase style where we're going to have the products and also maybe not maybe, but the pairing and the charcuterie board presented, you know, for all of the guests. And I think the main audience that we're going to have here are going to be the users, the second tier users, which would be the chefs and the restaurant owners and the hotels. And basically, you know, because a lot of the distributors that we're going to be visiting in Mexico City are distributors in Puerto Vallarta. So we will have those main ones. And the idea is to, you know, try to create some desire of our products so we can link them to the possible business with the previous meetings that we had in Mexico City. And basically, it'll be 2 days during the show with the opportunity to, you know, to walk the show, to be around the booth. And, you know, we are really targeting and trying probably from 15 to 20 participants. That's, you know, pretty ambitious. Maybe it'll be between 10 or 15, but it is important that we go beyond 10 because we need to make sure that we have a significant number of participants so it has a better impact than if, you know, we don't have enough people. Next slide, please, Vivian. So the show is Expotel. I'm sure that maybe some of you are familiar with this name. Expotel is the show that takes place in Cancun and has been for the last 30 years. So it is a very well-known show, and the owners have decided that they are continuing this legacy brand or name into Puerto Vallarta. So this is the second year of the show. They had the participation of 2,500 professional buyers, you know, with decision, including chefs, you know, the purchasing managers, the food and beverage managers, you know, restaurant owners, chefs from restaurants, etc. And, you know, they were able to have the participation of a lot of their clientele or exhibitors from Cancun coming to Puerto Vallarta. So we believe that, you know, this show has potential. Of course, it's, as I mentioned, it's not the size of Cancun. So I have to be very clear in the terms of expectations. It's not going to be as busy as Cancun, but I think, you know, it'll be important that, you know, we show presence, especially, you know, wanting to promote all of our cheeses from our regions in the Midwest and the Northeast. So I think it's a good exercise. So if we look really closely at the agenda on the right-hand side, the first day, it's travel day for, you know, companies arriving to Mexico City. And the second day, on Monday, March 2, we're going to have the brief and the retail tour. And on day 3, we're going to have the one-on-one meetings and the tabletop reception, where we will have the charcuterie board and, you know, the presentation given by the chefs. Then we're going to travel to Puerto Vallarta on Wednesday, March 4th, arrive to the Expotel show directly, previously to the hotel, then going to the show. Everything is pretty close and transportation is quite easy. Of course, we will have transportation arranged. And then on Thursday, we will do the trade show day with an evening tabletop reception, likely, you know, with a seminar. You know, we're working those details, but, you know, as we mentioned, this is an activity that has this hybrid component with different things that are going to be more meaningful than just a regular focus mission. So let's think that this is sort of a test with the desire to find out if this will be a model that can continue to work out for us in the future. And then on Friday, March 6th, companies depart to the US, unless they want to stay for the weekend, which is also attractive, to stay in Puerto Vallarta. So next slide, Vivian, please. So, here are some facts about the Mexico food service sector. I'm not going to go really on detail on them, but, it's a very large sector. As you know, Mexico is, one of the top destinations in terms of vacations, from Americans, Canadians, Europeans. It represents a good share, a $41.3 billion and 65.4 projecting a high single to low double-digit constant growth from 2033 to 2034. There's a lot of establishments. The service sector in the food category, it's an important part of our GDP. It's a 4.2%. And, our hotel industry represents almost 30% of tourism with close to 27,000 properties in 2024. We lead as a destination in Latin America with 248 hotel projects. We have 42 million. We had 42 million in 2023 and 45 million in 2024. All the tourist arrivals, and as I mentioned, within all of the different destinations, Puerto Vallarta is one of the important ones, as we all know. We have Cancun as the largest. Then we also have Los Cabos, but I think that Puerto Vallarta leads in terms of occupation and desire to visit. Basically, that's pretty much all what I have to say. I think there is not another slide, but I do want to encourage everyone to help us promote this focus mission. We're very excited about it. And I think it's going to be meaningful. For sure, we're going to have the participation of a lot of cheese companies. And as you know, Mexico likes cheese. It's one of the top categories of all the U.S. ag exports to Mexico. So we believe we have an important opportunity. And I think that definitely this will be successful. So thank you for all the efforts you guys do for us. And we appreciate all the time and effort that you put to make these missions successful with good attendance. So, I don't know if we're going to be open for questions and answers, but thank you very much for your time and have a nice weekend.
Yep, I added in a couple of important deadlines. So early registration for this event is December 19th. Standard registration is January 22nd. And then just to give a little bit more color to the products of interest for this mission, think anything that would go on a charcuterie board or that you would take to a picnic. For this event, we are focusing on cheese, meat products, beverages, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic, and then think anything else you would put on a meat and cheese board. So condiments, spreads, preserves, nuts, dried fruit. We're really trying to focus on those types of products for this event. For the next slide, I just want to see if we have any questions. We'd be happy to take. I'll give us a few minutes.
Vivian, now that you mentioned anything that goes on a picnic or charcuterie board, I think that any Melba bread or high-end crackers would also be another good candidate for participation.
Well, folks, we will be posting this to our website. And of course, Raul and Violetta are happy to take questions afterwards. Oop, looks like we got one. Can you go over sample shipping, Raul?
Yes. So as you know, we have the luck to work with this company, which I think it is a blessing because the only thing that is needed is an invoice. We don't need to go over, all of the different paperwork in the case of cheeses or perishables, which is usually very difficult and it's a long process. Um, Companies will be responsible to send their samples to Laredo, Texas, to this forwarder, and then this forwarder will be shipping the product to both Mexico City and Puerto Vallarta. I think we're going to have two destinations, but yes, that would be the procedure. We're going to be putting together, in coordination with the forwarder, a document that is going to be sent to all the participants.
We do have one other question about doing one stop or both stops. Raul can talk a little bit about this. We would encourage you to do both stops because we're hitting two different audiences in terms of buyers. But Raul, I don't know if you want to add a little bit
Sure.
more to that. We're not currently promoting it as two different stops. So this would be kind of a full commitment to the entire mission, but we can certainly talk one-on-one as well.
I agree with you, Vivian. I think that, we have to really encourage the companies to take advantage of the full scheme that we're putting together. Also, without us promoting that, because we really want you guys to please help us make them commit to the two portions of the mission. If worst comes to worst, we can always receive the samples for Puerto Vallarta for display, and we can get the leads for them in case, these come out. And as I said, I think the Puerto Vallarta is going to be more of a seminar display to the users rather than having potential distributors, because the reality is that most of the distributors that distribute in Puerto Vallarta are based in Mexico City. So maybe there will be one or two smaller ones that might have the interest that will distribute locally, and that's also an opportunity that we might have. And this would be the case. I encourage you to please help us make them sign for both. But if worst comes to worst, we could always receive their samples. And that would be, in my opinion, that would be um, uh, an enforced minimum. If they don't want to travel to Puerto Vallarta, it's fine, but they have to send their samples in order to be able to sign up. I think that would be kind of like a good idea. This way, we don't lose force, we don't lose participants, and we have a display of all the participants.
Raul, we have a couple other questions. So one is, what type of meats are we interested in for this particular mission?
Well, excuse me. I think that, sausages, hams, anything that, first of all, is made in the US, of course, but if there is any Italian profile meats that go on the charcuterie board, that's what we would be interested in.
Yeah,
Viole.
I would say anything of a European profile. That's a good question. We would like to have the salamis, medwurst, I don't know, all those chorizos, chorizo Pamplona, chorizo Spanish from Spain, all that type of fine cold meats, charcuterie.
Styles.
That's what charcuterie is. It's not the regular cold meats that you find in any supermarket. It's a higher end type of product. Salami is a very good example. We actually had good companies that can be approached, like Brooklyn Cured. This company is in New York, and they participated in our 2025 Focus Trade Mission, and they have the type of products that we are looking for. And there's another one which is Charlito's Kitchen. He's also in New York. He makes chorizos, different types of chorizo. So there's different types of meats that are more European profile. I also wanted to say that last week we were in PLMA and we were able to touch base with several companies, cheese companies and other type of companies that may be interested in this mission. So we will pass the information soon. And next Monday, you will have the list of the people that may be suitable for this mission. And I think that's it.
We do have a couple other questions. So one is, if a cheesemaker attends, do I have this correct that they would need to ship their cheese ahead? And if they are not able to attend, can they ship cheese as well?
Correct. I mean, that is going to be a mandatory procedure for everyone. We need all of the samples to be shipped ahead of time. We have, the capability to store refrigerated. I apologize, but my throat is giving me a little bit of a hard time. Don't have water. Oh, sorry. So yes, as part of the instructive of the sample shipping, there will be a deadline for all the companies to make sure to get their samples to Texas. And, this is likely going to be at least 2 weeks before we have the event. Probably even a little bit more, but we'll see. For sure, it is important also to consider that it is desired that the products that participate don't have extreme short shelf lives, because that is not going to be a good candidate. It's going to be difficult for the buyer to consider purchasing it because, just the lead time to get the product from the US to Mexico, get an importer, distributed, stored, sold to the customer, they need a little bit more time. So that is an important thing to take into consideration. But yes, time will be done in advance on the shipping.
Yeah, and also for the question that if they are not able to attend, can they ship the cheese as well? That would be something that food export needs to. As we said before, we are not promoting and that they don't go to the mission. So that would be the best scenario is that they participate in everything. Only if something happens, some emergency, then I guess we would be able to represent them in both cities. And then how about the types of cheeses? Yes, as I said, with the cold meats, for the cheese, it would be the same. The European profile mostly should be mature cheeses, rolled
Or spreads.
or spreads, for instance. Yes, and as for the crackers, we just saw Venus wafers in PLMA. That's the type of crackers that would go very well with the charcuterie board. Vivian put in this presentation a picture of a charcuterie board, and you can see there what's in it. That's the type of product that we would like to have in the mission. The products from Enrico Formella and Sons, for instance, are perfect. And we already talked to them since September, and they were wanting to hear about the mission. So please approach them. They should be able to participate in this mission.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. We will be posting this to our website. And of course, we're open for any other questions after this sneak peek call. You can contact your liaison or contact Violetta and Raul. We will have the information out on our website. So thank you so much. We hope you can join us for this mission.
Yes, thank you everyone for your
Thank
time. We're looking forward. Good weekend.